Warning, warning, new gimmick alert! Or is it a gimmick? Could actually be pretty good. So F1 in their infinite wisdom have gone and decided to change up the race weekend once more. We were expecting qualifying, then the sprint, and then the race. But no, we're actually getting kinda 2 qualifying sessions. What's called the Sprint Shootout. Sounds kinda cool, but also sounds kinda silly, right? You might probably be wondering why I actually think of the F1 sprint sessions since they were introduced in 2021. In all honesty, I quite like them, and it gives people stuff to look at on the Friday if they are attending the actual Grand Prix. I do understand that trying to watch F1 on a Friday if you're at work means that sometimes if you're in the European world, you can't actually see it live, or if you're in America, well, you'd have to be getting up early anyway, so I feel sorry for you there, pal. And if you're in the Australasia area, you've got very strong constitutions, and I salute your ability to either stay up or get up early. They've decided to change it again, Formula 1, to make it a little bit more interesting. After much criticism saying that, oh, qualifying is really confusing, and what is the actual pole position? Is it first place in the sprint? Is it first place in qualifying? We don't really know. It's for the sake of the record books, really, because it's either a pole position sitter or the Speed King. Well, I believe the Speed King moniker's probably gone now, which is a shame. I actually found it kind of cute. So, Stefano Domenicali is actually really pleased because the amount of practice sessions has now gone down from 3 to 1. Really, they should have just called it practice, because where's any other practices, really? It's kind of like Formula 2 and Formula 3 now, there's just one practice session, but oh well. Then you get qualifying, and that qualifying defines the race grid for the race itself on Sunday. It has nothing to do with the sprint race whatsoever now, so all of the people that are keeping tabs on the record books, then don't worry, you're okay there. Then we get to the Sprint Shootout. Basically the same as qualifying, it takes place over 60 minutes, but the amount of time that you actually get to put in your time is a little bit reduced. So instead of 18 minutes for Q1, 15 minutes for Q2, and 12 minutes for Q3, you get 12 for Q1, 10 for Q2, and 8 for Q3. Pirelli, for this weekend, wouldn't have had enough tyres to be able to do 2 soft tyre runs in sprint qualifying 3. So therefore, they had to reduce the times down a bit, so oh dear. And defined tyre compounds are the rule of the game here. According to rumours, it was going to go to hard, medium, soft, so hard for sprint qualifying 1, but in actuality, it's going to be mediums for both Q1 and Q2 for the sprint shootout. For hard tyres, since they're a really good race tyre, you really wouldn't want to burn through them early on. I think what Formula 1 was trying to do here is just make it very, very clear that the qualifying on Friday will define the grid for the race, whereas the sprint stuff, it's its own thing. It's like a little bonus feature for particular races throughout the season. This time we're getting 6 of them. I thought it was okay when it came in 2021. It did get improved a bit in 2022. Now though, I feel like we're actually in a good place at the moment, but I do have my feelings about the 3rd sprint qualifying session because 8 minutes, that's really not enough time to be able to do 2 laps in. 12 minutes was kind of a little bit long. You could easily do 2. Maybe 10 minutes would have been enough because you would have had your first run, you'd have gone in, changed your tyres, make sure everything was okay, and then you go right back out again. That would have actually added some jeopardy in without actually running the risk of anyone crashing into anybody. 8 minutes though, I feel like we might actually get something where the first 5 minutes may have absolutely nothing going on except maybe a lucky Williams that winds up in sprint qualifying 3 and might just go, we may as well just go now. Or if you get someone in the lower tier of the midfield just going out anyway, because they're only going to do 1 run and they really don't think they're going to make much impact on the top end of the top 10 or something like that. One nice little addition that could have been had was the addition of a sprint championship or something like that, because that would have actually given us a little bit more of a competition. These points do go towards the overall championship, and you only get points for the first 8 positions. So 9th and 10th, where you normally would score points during a big race, you don't get that this time around, much like how it is in Formula 2 and Formula 3. In their sprint races, only the top 8 score points. I feel that there are some things that could be learnt from this, but this is a very, very good step. This is definitely an improvement on the sprint configuration, and if it does seem a little bit confusing when trying to describe it, I feel like once you actually see it in practice, this might become a lot more clear. Now that we know that the sprints are their own thing and they're not going to impact the race, that's fine. What about the penalties? Do the penalties actually impact what's going on in the race? Well, yes and no. If you get any penalties during practice and qualifying on the Friday, they impact the race itself and not the sprint. If you get one during the sprint shootout phase, then that impacts the sprint race. If you get something during the sprint race, that impacts you on Sunday, because they were going to actually consider moving it on to the next sprint race where you get your penalty. So I think that's what it is. That's my best guess, as from what I could tell. Parc fermé conditions, oh, don't get me started on that one. Basically, don't try and be silly and mess with your car when you're not supposed to, okay? Do I think this is going to be something that will last in the long run? I feel like Formula 1 may tweak this format one more time. There could easily be some more improvements here. Do I wish that they go back to the times where you had 12 laps and 60 minutes in a basic free-for-all in qualifying? Well, not really, because back then it was just 12 minutes of nothing, then you may get occasional people out. Elimination qualifying? Oh no. It's very nice in a video game if you're playing Wipeout or something like that, but for Formula 1, no, because track evolution. That was a nice idea, but it wouldn't work in practice. This sprint configuration though? I feel like it's got legs. If you did like my little explanation here, do consider dropping a like and a subscribe. It really does help out the channel a lot. But I'm going to go and get ready to watch the entire race weekend. It's going to be a doozy. And also, 5 races in 6 weeks. Oh, it's going to be fun. Happy watching!